So we're here with Erica Stella?
That is correct.
Okay, cool. So we're here with another episode of the Made in New York podcast. Our guest today is Erica Stella. She's the creator and editor of Sold magazine.
Not creator.
No? All right, we're going to start over. What, the founder?
Okay. No. I came in, how would we say it?
Editor's enough?
Editor
and co-owner.
Editor and
Should
co-owner.
we say co-owner, though?
He can.
Okay, all right. So yeah, editor and co-owner is nice and clean.
Perfect.
Because I came in after, and I can talk about that in the history of Sold magazine, and I'll keep it nice and short.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So we're here with another episode of the Made in New York podcast with Erica Stella. You may know her as the editor and co-owner of Sold magazine. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about Sold and how everything got started.
Well, thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Let's see. I am a photographer. I got involved with Sold magazine when it first got started by JPO, BD White, and Greg Frederick in 2015. And as a lot of us street photographers, street art photographers, documentarians, we all are part of the culture, and the mantra, the mission behind Sold magazine is by artists for artists. So the photographers contributed to the print magazine, and then as I came on board, we moved online to the Daily Dose. And so every day, it's not print anymore, which we're looking to do an annual book, but we online through our posts on our website and Instagram, other social media platforms, we're giving daily content, which is a big achievement, and we're doing it organically. So since the first year of print, these three artists had this brilliant idea. A whole bunch of photographers came on board, and I myself am a photographer, but came on board as the cheerleader and the glue of the team.
So I've noticed, in at least following you guys on Instagram, that there's a very wide breadth of areas, and obviously New York is geographically a large place. Right. Has that always been the focus, or was there at some point maybe like a smaller local focus that then became broader?
Well, we try to not put the stamp of street art, because that's really just like such a large umbrella. Mm-hmm. We really want to help artists achieve their goals in any way, so we keep in touch with gallery shows, people who do other type of work. We try to keep the broad spectrum. It really has a lot to do with our team. It's a really eclectic group of people who we each have our own voice in the things that we like to cover. We make friends with people in different boroughs. We also have a lot of people who get on planes and travel all around the world. So that's also helped us expand our network, not only because they can tell stories about other cities, but when those artists come to New York, they look us up. So we're just in our first year, a little bit over, first year of this platform, and we're just growing because of those relationships we're building.
So, I mean, a year in, obviously there's bumps and then bruises and wins. What's been the most surprising thing?
I would say the most surprising thing was in May. We were invited to be a part of the Moniker Art Fair, and that was a London art festival that came to Brooklyn for the first time. It was 9 years in London, and it had been established and was going to have its first show here in Brooklyn. We were asked to be involved to help promote, and then also spend time doing our podcast in the Spray Room, which is just another thing that we do. Side note about the podcast we started doing as just really another way for artists to tell stories. Like you find,
right,
sitting here and talking is easy with some artists. Some artists want to do other type of interviews, so it's just another platform for artists. So we were invited to the Moniker Art Fair, and for 2 days we podcasted there on site. It was the first time we did that. And the feedback from some of the biggest names in art brought tears to my eye. I had no idea that they were reading and listening and paying attention. And from that point on, it really opened my eyes to the attention we're getting it is exciting and is motivating, and I think that was the point, because that was really our 1 year. We're a little bit past that now, and so that was kind of the push I think I needed, was to get feedback from Brooklyn Street Art, from Jonathan Levine. Findak spent a lot of time with us. He's a big international artist. I mean, just some of the love that we received really was overwhelming, and I would say that was I didn't expect it.
So, thankfully we can cut this.
That's nice that you guys do that. We don't do that.
No?
No.
You just deal with the pauses? Yeah. Well, that's why we do video too. So, most of what you do is, and maybe I'm wrong, is you're in connecting artists, but you're also telling the story of the scene within New York and in other places. I know you've had some people recently in Bristol for Upfest, which is amazing, by the way. It's one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. How did you get to that idea to show the world the art scene of New York and so on and so forth?
When I came on board, I think the most important part of what is making Sold successful right now is curating the team. So, for example, Sarah Sanson, Cat's Coffee Creativity. Me and JPO sat down and really curated a group of people who are just people I looked up to when I was learning, people who I respected and just wanted to be around anyway. And we built this team, and we're all street soldiers together, and we learn from each other. And because we all have different interests, that's where you see this broad umbrella. But it's really the team that we put together is why it is what it is. And people come to us because of all the individuals who are part of it. It's not just me. I'm really the glue that's keeping us all together, because I stay in touch with everyone. I'm a good coordinator in that way, but we all have our own interests. And documenting and storytelling is really important to us. None of us were journalists, journalism majors. None of us have a background in journalism. Most of us are photographers in some way. Some are graphic designers, some are writers. But we're all just street art fanatics and really art history buffs and what's going on in art, especially in New York City. But because we are New York City, we can touch all around the world, and when people come here, it's just such an exciting thing. I mean, we all know with social media, this world has gotten smaller.
Right.
So we're just the hub of all of it for street art. What's going on in art today? And a lot of it is happening on the street. So
right. So what has been, you talk about the world being a small place.
Yeah.
What has been one of those small world moments that you guys may have had to been realizing that although we're on a planet that's 7 billion people, it's actually not that big?
We took a trip to the first road trip that the team took was last September. We went to the Denver Crush Festival. That was our first road trip together as a team, although we all travel. And again, just meeting international London police. I had never met them, although some of our team members knew them. And talking and meeting people from all over the world and saying Sold Magazine, and they go, oh, in New York, and oh yeah, Sold Magazine. It's like, just, I'm not even home, I'm in a new place. I've never been to Denver. We had a great time. Crush Festival was great. So yeah, that was great.
So what's in the future? What's plans for next?
We're considering, there's a festival down in Mexico. I don't know if I'm supposed to say it right. Starts with an A. There's a festival down in Mexico that
we'll find the name and randomly put it here.
Walking Girl NYC is coordinating it. Rena, Walking Girl NYC. You can look on her page. She's got all the information about it. It's a art festival in November. It might be our second road trip. What else do we have coming up? Lots of things. We're honestly right now we've grown organically. We're looking for sponsors. So we have the podcast, which we think would be a good place to start. But we're still just doing our thing and building and growing our relationships. So that's where we are now. Growth.
So the way we've connected was through a tour that you guys gave in Brooklyn,
yes,
along the JMZ walls.
Yes.
How did the tours come to be, and how integral a part of your guys' business is that?
That is a new thing that we started this year. It
Okay.
was we had a lot of things in the beginning of this year that were on our plate, like let's try these things, and that was one of them. And the reason was Bike Girl 24 on Instagram was getting her New York City tourism license.
Okay.
To give tours, and she was taking the test, and she was telling us about it, and we thought, you know what, Soul Magazine should have she's now doing it on a daily basis. It's basically her new job. She's gotten amazingly good at it. The best street art tours are by Bike Girl, and she does them for different people, so I'm saying she's the best. Not promoting one tour or another, right. But she's my favorite. She's an encyclopedia. She's got a ton of personality. Not only the personality, but she's got a ton. She's an encyclopedia of knowledge. She also sits in our podcast, and she sits there to make sure everybody's got their facts and figures straight. She's amazing. So when she started doing that for some other companies, we thought about doing monthly tours. We're waiting for confirmation from Airbnb, so it's not confirmed yet, but we would like to start that up again, being supported by Airbnb. What we've learned from this experience with what happens is you trial and error. We're not good at finding tourists. It's just not something we want to get good at. Mm-hmm. We'd throw it out. We can throw a party and we can invite all kinds of people who are interested in art, but getting people who are coming to New York City really that was tough. Mm-hmm. So we were successful with a couple, and so we're waiting for confirmation from Airbnb to do the monthly tours again, and they would feed us, no more than 15-person tours. And the special part about our tours were that there were gifts along the way. Hopefully an artist is present to also jump in, and if you're walking along, you never know, an artist that we're friendly with might show up and tell you the personal story behind that wall. Not only that, Audrey has tons of stories about walls too. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the tour, we're hoping you end up at a bar, have a drink, and then there's like some raffle prizes, and everybody gets a bag filled with stickers and all kinds of goodies. So the tour is going to be starting up again.
So how has the art world embraced you?
Like I said, the Monica Art Fair was the surprise. Mm-hmm. That was recently, so I was surprised at how much so. So I hope it continues to embrace us. So far, I've gotten lots of thumbs up. I think the only negative feedback I get is that people haven't been involved with us yet, and that's always frustrating. I love constructive criticism. Mm-hmm. I really do. It's just the kind of person I am. Right. And I'd love for people to give me constructive criticism, but then it ends up, we just haven't covered them yet. Right.
So how are you do your podcast, you shoot your walls. How are you?
We do interviews,
How are you figuring out what you're going to do, or is it a mere the team brings all of it together and we figure out what's best?
We have monthly meetings. Mm-hmm. We are in touch with each other on a daily basis. Everybody brings ideas to the table. I guess I bless things, but I mean, most of the time the team is bringing stuff to the table that's relevant, and I throw out a lot of ideas. When we know people are in town, the person who's closest to them, or the person who is, knows them the best, mm-hmm. I might ask them, hey, do you want to see if they're comfortable doing an interview? Do they want to do a podcast? Do they want to... are they okay with us showing up at the wall that they're painting? All those, we are so flexible and open to telling their story whatever way they want. And it might be before their show to help promote whatever reason they're in town, or they might want to talk to us after. So
And do you usually, have you gotten no's? Like, no, I don't like, because to me it would make sense for everybody just to say yes because it's additional press.
I can think of one person off the top of my head that is a no, and I do wonder, like, it's press and it's always positive. We never, we try to avoid anything negative. We tell, the one criticism we get is that we're like kind of fluffy.
Okay.
That we do little because we don't really want to get, I love a rise from the ashes story, that you've struggled and made achievements, and there's ups and downs in every artist's life, of course,
right.
And but we try to stay out of the negative stuff that happens, and I just don't want to cover it, and that's how I've dealt with things. So we try to keep it positive.
So who are some of your favorite artists? And obviously, anybody that you don't say, it's not a shot at them, but like we all have, the first of mind. And a lot of times when I think of this, the way that I compartmentalize it is who I actually have on my walls at home and who I'd like to have on my walls at home that I might not be able to afford quite yet.
Oh, it's so broad. I can't. Oh, geez. I mean, I'm so in the, I think in the position that I'm in, I see so much all the time. What can I say? It's just going to be something that happened recently that I really love. Ah, geez. Okay, I know it. I'm going to say Mr. Sens. He's a British, a London artist who paints these women, and I've seen him paint live, and I'm just obsessed with what he does with just a profile of a woman's face, and just goes nuts with the background in graffiti. I think evolving into a mural and beautiful murals, but the background in graffiti and having those skills to then add to whatever you're creating. He's just okay. That's the one that came to mind.
There you go.
Mr. Sens.
And
Shout out to Mr. Sens.
Has there been any artist that you've always wanted to meet and then you finally did? For me, for example, and I haven't met him yet, but like that would be like a Banksy.
Nobody's met him yet.
Yeah, I don't believe that bullshit at all, but that's
okay.
Mr. Brainwash obviously did.
No comment. So you're asking me someone that I wanted to meet, right, and I met, and what's the question?
So was there like an artist that you followed extensively that you were then excited to meet and finally met as a byproduct of Sold?
Okay. Wonderful story. Can I tell a story
sure.
about this?
Yeah.
Okay, Cash Inc.
Okay.
She's a Paris female artist. She lived in Brooklyn for a little bit. I think kind of when I was first, I wasn't as ingrained as I am now. I was a fan. Didn't know how accessible it was to just go to a party and meet her. She now is back in Europe and traveling all over. And I have a friend who lives in Spain who I recently visited, and her little 7-year-old daughter, she was telling me, when she gets dressed up in a costume, she always draws a mustache. And if you know about Cash Inc., she has a mustache, and she believes that, these two lines, what's the difference between these two lines here and the two lines that women draw on their eyebrows? And she just plays with this idea of like what's femininity but she's also not she's just cool. She's so cool, and her murals are so cool, and she does these really awesome masks. And I'm such a fan of hers from afar. So when I went to visit my friend in Spain, I did a photo that I had taken of one of her murals for the 7-year-old's room, and I also ordered her book. So when I had purchased the book from Cash Inc., she told me she was coming to Brooklyn, and I met her like a month ago. It's probably like a month ago. I met her at Super Chief Gallery, and I actually was just beside myself getting to meet her and get my picture. I really was one of those, like, I kind of geeked out. I'm a real big fan, and I just think she's cool. And I actually think that she probably responded to me and was talking to me maybe because of my affiliation with the magazine. I feel like sometimes, is she maybe she wouldn't have paid attention to me otherwise. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. Who knows? Yeah. That would be cool, but she was awesome.
So, Cobra is in New York right now doing a few month residency to put up a bunch of pieces. Should we expect to see him as a guest on your podcast soon?
Yes.
Okay.
Podcast. I don't know about podcast, but you will see more from him once he is finished. That is a pretty guaranteed thing.
And it's not often that you see. I mean, listen, you see artists come for a month and maybe do a bunch of pieces here, but it's not often that you see somebody come for a longer period of time and do the super large scale.
Yeah.
Like when Banksy was here in 2015. He did his pieces, but none of them were super, even remotely close in size to what Cobra is doing right now.
A little different. He's getting all of them.
Right. Yeah. Do you think as the world is changing because of social, we're going to see more and more of that? We're going to see artists pop into various cities all over the world and bless it with their art?
I thought for New York City, I thought it was really a very large number of what he was. I mean, we'll see what he gets finished with. There's a lot of real estate. Do I think other artists will come? I think that this is the world stage, and this is where every artist in every country wants to be seen. Just as on in every neighborhood, you write your graffiti to call out where you are and where you're from and who who your crew is. So people want to come to New York to have their artwork shown in New York. You can do murals all over your streets and where you're from, but you want to be here. And so we all know how New York City, we're egotistical people. We, this is the greatest city in the world. This is the birthplace of hip hop. This is where street art is. This is where graffiti evolved from. I mean, there's no such thing as graffiti wasn't the first public mural.
Right.
People have been writing on walls since cavemen and hieroglyphics, etc., etc. But it is the hip hop that birthed graffiti that now you see this influence in real art, and what we see in art history will be influenced by hip hop, and that all happened here in New York. So that's my speech about all of this, because that's the culture, and that's really what when we talk about Sold and whatever the success of Sold is, it's by artists for artists, and it's really keeping the culture true to what it is, and whatever it becomes, we're trying to keep the corporate. Listen, artists want to get paid, right, but we're trying to keep it as real deal Holyfield as possible.
So how long have you been here?
In New York.
Yeah. I
moved to New York when I was 17, and tomorrow is my 40th birthday.
Well, happy early birthday.
Thank you. Do the math.
So you've been here like 2 or 3 years.
I moved here for college. I was a dance major.
Okay.
But my father was a photographer, grew up with photography. In the digital world, as I clearly dated myself. You can go back. There was a period where photography sucked. So I went and did other things. As this street art thing started to evolve, I was still living in New York, but I was working in an office in Midtown, and just like, wait a minute, what am I doing living in the cultural, epicenter and not doing anything about it? So street art kind of grabbed my attention. Big Ronnie, the man of my dreams, Big Ronnie, put a digital SLR in my hands because the technology had advanced to the point where digital photography acted like old school photography again. And I fell in love with photography again, because I do feel that documenting what happens out on the streets, it's very, somebody goes and puts up a wheat paste, and somebody could take that down tomorrow and it's gone if you didn't take a picture of it. Mm-hmm. And it didn't happen. So the role of photographers is very important again. And there's a little skill. I mean, take a phone with your camera phone picture. There still is, you got to pay attention to what you're doing and frame it and, make it look nice. There's nothing wrong with being a camera phone photographer. I have nothing against that at all. I love whatever your tool is. But there's a real craft to it. So I love it.
So you talked briefly about New York being the birthplace of hip hop.
Yeah.
And one thing that's been one of the essences of hip hop has been like the battle rap.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see something like that existing in the art world?
Secret Walls.
Okay.
It's Secret Walls. So I don't have a lot of information about it, but it's secret. No, it's on 2 teams. They when they announce it, it's whatever city they pop up in, and it's 2 teams of
usually
graffiti writers,
Cali,
and it's always like just black ink on white walls, I believe. I don't know if they can use white also. I don't know. So they're, for example, but it's teams, and then I think there's a panel of judges, and so that would be the example. But more so than the battle rap, I think the beauty of street art is the love of the collaboration, which is also collaboration is part of hip hop too.
Right. All right. So you came here at a very formidable age at 17. You've been here since then. Do you see yourself dying here in New York?
Probably. Yeah, probably. I hope maybe there's like living someplace where this is going to be home base though. I think, it's nice to go and like, live here forever. But I think this will be home base, yeah. And family members have already put in for a plot for me someplace on this island, so.
There you go.
Lucky me.
So is there anything you want to share with us before we wrap up? Maybe you sold something you didn't get to share yet?
Well, we're excited about Cobra. It's nice seeing these big murals going up. Thank you for having me. Thank you for coming on the tour. Let's see. Just say the contributors. I
absolutely.
don't miss anybody, but shout out to JPO and BD White for everything. Absolutely. Joanna Pan, Bite Girl, John Domine, Christy C, Big Ronnie,
Spectator,
Just a Spectator, Rafael Gonzalez, thank you, and Keith Aronowitz, and I'm forgetting Nicole Gordon and Steve Stopper.
Wow.
And Kaylin Hart.
Yes.
Did I forget somebody?
Probably.
I probably
All
forgot
right, well,
somebody.
sorry for anybody she forgot. I got a funny story about Just a Spectator, but I'll tell you that later. That's actually who I bought my fiance her wedding, our engagement ring from.
He does work in jewelry.
Yeah. I don't know if we're able to share that, but we'll see. Well, I'll send him a DM and we'll cut this if we have to.
We'll cut that part. You can't talk about it.
Yeah. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much. I love what you guys are doing. Keep it going on, and I wish you guys all the success in the world.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you.